Hello, everybody. This is Meenakshi Narula, and I welcome you to my channel, Mentoring the Mentors. My dear educators, as I was shared with you, like new video premieres every day at 4 p.m. So make your evening tea time more enriching with Mentoring the Mentors. Sip your tea, relax, and enjoy the engaging content and enhance your learning. So in today's video, we're going to talk about assessment, evaluation, measurement. As you can see these three terms on the screen, we also would like to know what is the relationship between these three terms, right? How they are dependent on each other. What exactly is the minute difference between these three? Because we often use these three terms when we talk about assessment, measuring student learning, whether they have achieved learning outcomes or not. So get set, go. Here I go. So as you can see here in the picture is for measurement, assessment, evaluation. This actually describes the three different processes involved while cooking in the kitchen, right? First of all, the first term, as you can see here, is measurement, right? When we cook anything in cooking, measuring the ingredients has its own importance. It's really very important to measure the contents. Even if you are making a cup of tea, you do measure how much water, how much sugar, tea leaves, and even milk you would like to add as per your taste. You want to have elaichi tea, we want to have adrak, like as nowadays we say chat GPT tea, right? Chai enhanced with adrak and elaichi, right? So, my dear educators, measurement is very important. Without measuring, we can't add the ingredients, right? Because every ingredient has its own value, is its own taste, right? Own flavor, right? So, we have to measure. So, we're talking about measurement in detail when we measure something, right? To what extent? And when we talk about assessment while preparing any dish, we check in between whether we are in the right place, whether we are on the right track in achieving the desired outcome or not. For example, like whether the tea leaves, when you have added while making a cup of tea to the hot water, they have boiled to that extent or not, right? Accordingly, you will get aroma and taste, right? So, and if you talk about evaluation, evaluation is a final result when you can't make changes into the desired outcome, right? But during the process of assessment, you have got chances, like you can do a little bit variation, you can enhance so that you can get the desired outcomes. But once evaluation is done, the desired outcome is there in front of you, you don't have any chance, you don't have any way so that you can make any kind of change. So let's talk about these three statements, these three terms in detail. So my dear educators, let's, as this is analogy that I have just explained to you, measurement is like measuring the ingredients for a recipe, and assessment is like tasting the food as it cooks. Evaluation is judging the final dish overall quality and the presentation, right? So this is actually the difference between measurement, assessment, and evaluation. So this, if you have watched the video till this, you will be able to have a surface knowledge what is measurement, assessment, and evaluation. Now let's move ahead. If you want to enhance your learning, if you want to have a deep knowledge related to this, just get set, go. So my dear educators, this is what I have explained to you: measurement, assessment, and evaluation, right? So now let's look at the detail part. Assessment is a systematic process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting the information to determine the student learning. We want to determine the student learning. It acts actually as a dipstick where you get to know at what stage, like towards the goal, the child is at present, right? Whether the child has achieved the desired outcomes at the beginning level, the child is at the intermediate, or maybe at the proficient level. So you are able to assess. So it focuses on identifying the learning progress, the strengths, the areas of improvement, etc., so that you can scaffold the child and help the child achieve the desired learning outcomes, right? So now if we talk about measurement, measurement is the process of assigning numerical values to learners' performance. When we gather the data, when we collect the evidences, and we assign a numerical value. Numerical value can be numbers, whether we are talking about grades, like we assign some numbers to it. That is called measurement. Means it quantifies the attributes such as knowledge, skill, behavior, providing objective data for comparison and analysis. We compare between the performance of the students, maybe a child's performance with his or her previous performance, right? Accordingly, based on the numbers, the numerical values, or the grades, the percentile, etc. Now, come to evaluation. Evaluation is the comprehensive process of making value judgment, right? Assessment is gathering data because we want to collect the evidences of learning. Measurement is assigning numerical values or grades to it. And evaluation is making judgments based on those numerical values, based on those grades and numbers, etc. So it determines the overall effectiveness of the educational program, teaching method, student performance in relations to predetermined objective. We have got certain predetermined objectives, we have got certain learning outcomes, like when we want our students to achieve the desired learning outcomes throughout the year. Right now the final examinations, they are going on, right? So we evaluate the students based on, I mean, with respect to the desired learning outcomes. Accordingly, we see, we map, we assign numbers, right? That is means measurement. And accordingly, we judge whether the child is able to be promoted to the next grade or not. Means we evaluate. We make value judgments. So this is the basic difference between assessment, measurement, and evaluation. Now, moving ahead, assessment is basically, it can be formative or summative in nature, right? And it provides a feedback to guide the instructions and learning. Instructions and learning both. As a teacher, I will also get to know what all improvements I need to make in my teaching learning process. And it helps a learner also to get to know where the child lies at present. Maybe the child is the beginner stage, and slowly and gradually you need to make the child independent so that the child becomes proficient in that particular skill. And it can be qualitative or quantitative depending upon whether you are going ahead with the marks or grades or you are just providing the feedback. And assessment, it focuses on the process as well as the outcomes. Means we focus both on process and the product in the case of assessment. When we talk about measurement, as you know, it is quantitative in nature because we assign numbers or grades, right? Some number is being assigned, the scores, etc., while measuring. So it uses specific tools or instruments, for example, either grades or scorecard, like whatever it is there. So based on some criteria, we go ahead with measurement. And that focuses on accuracy and reliability. Whatever method we use for measurement, that is accurate. That should be reliable. Only then it is used as a standard testing or measurement mode. It is objective and standardized, as I've already explained it to you. Now, going ahead with evaluation. It is qualitative and quantitative in nature because we get marks, grades, and along with that, we do provide constructive feedback to the students. And it is based on the evidences that we gather in assessment and then assign the numerical value during measurement. It focuses on value judgment and decision making. We make decisions based on evaluation. And this is holistic and continuous in nature, right? Because it's not at the end. It, though it is term wise also, unit test also, that is a kind of evaluation, it is there, right? Now, if I go ahead, my dear educators, a few definitions given by the renowned educationist. First of all, let's talk about assessment. Assessment is the process of gathering and interpreting evidence of the learning for the purpose. Purpose kya hai? What is the purpose? Purpose of improving students' performance and even the teachers' instructional practices. Objective is this. That's why we gather and we interpret the evidences. In case of measurement, it is the process of quantifying the degree to which someone possesses a certain attribute. Means we assign numerical values in that case. This is by Thorndike and Hagen. Now, if I talk about evaluation, as I've already shared with you, evaluation is a continuous process which is an integral part of the education system, and it focuses on achievement of educational objectives. So, this is the basic difference between these three. Now, if I talk about a few examples, during assessment, which I have already told you, it can be formative or summative in nature, right? It can be qualitative, it can be quantitative. So, for example, in our classroom, we conduct quizzes, tests, assignments. We assign different projects to the students. They can be individual or collaborative projects, some self-assessment, peer assessment, performance task, and even the observations, they are considered in assessment. And if I talk about measurement, various standardized tests. For example, right now our children, they are appearing for JEE, NEET, CLAT, CAT, etc. And the marks obtained by them in these examinations, the percentage, the score, the GPA, etc., it is a part of measurement. If I talk about evaluation, grading students based on exam scores and classroom performance, right? Maybe the board exams that they are going on right now, the determining the effectiveness of the curriculum or the teaching method, where we get to know whether our teaching methods are accurate or not. Do we need to make changes into it, right? And we review the child's overall progress in academics as well as behavior. So this is the difference between assessment, measurement, and evaluation. Now, moving ahead, let's talk about the relationship between these three terms. Measurement is the foundation as it quantifies the student performance using some tools. And assessment builds on the measurement by interpreting the quantitative data, collecting the qualitative evidence from it so that we can provide the feedback to the learner as well as to the mentor, right? Evaluation, it uses both measurement as well as assessment, right? Because we need to make judgments about the overall success of the educational process and to guide decision making, right? I hope now you have understood, right? Just would like to recapitulate the process of gathering evidences is known as assessment. When we assign numerical value to it, that is called measurement. When we make decisions based on the numerical values assigned to the evidences, this is known as evaluation. This is how these three terms are related to each other, right? So, my dear educators, if we conclude and we can have a chart over here on the screen, based on meaning, assessment is collecting and interpreting information about learning. Measurement is assigning numerical value to it. And evaluation is making judgment based on assessment and measurement. Talking about nature, assessment is and evaluation both are qualitative and quantitative in nature, but measurement, because it is related to numbers, so it is quantitative in nature only. If we talk about focus, assessment focuses on process as well as the product, while measurement focuses on accuracy, objectivity, reliability, right? And evaluation focuses on overall value and effectiveness of learning. Let's go ahead with the purpose. The purpose of assessment is what? When we conduct classroom quizzes, assessment, group discussion, observation, etc., because we want to improve teaching as well as learning. And the tools purpose of measurement is to quantify the learning, and evaluation is to judge the success, where we pass judgments, where we take decisions, right? That is happening in evaluation. Let's talk about what kind of tools do we use. In assessment, we use tests, we use quizzes, observation, portfolios, all kind of basically formative assessments we use in assessment. In measurement, we use standardized tests, exams, rubrics, etc. And in evaluation, assessment data, measurement scores, and we provide feedback because we need to give the decisions based on measurement. Now, type of information in assessment is a kind of diagnostic, because we want to check where the child lies, how we need to further scaffold the child. So it's descriptive in nature. And measurement is numerical, objective, based on grades and all. And evaluation, it is interpretive and judgmental, because we pass judgment. If we talk about the time frame, assessment is ongoing because it's formative and summative in nature. And if we talk about measurement, at specific points of time, we do measure. We do not measure every time. For example, you assess after unit tests or periodic test, half yearly and annual examination, then you assign the numerical values to the attempts made by the children during assessment. And if you talk about evaluation, this is continuous and cumulative as well, because assessment together, different assessments we take, and then we cumulate during evaluation when we have to pass the judgment. So that's the basic difference between these three. If we talk about a few examples, peer assessments, projects, classroom tests, that is there in assessment. And in measurement, standardized tests, percentage scores, and evaluation, the final grades, the program evaluation, the report cards that you are going to give to your students after these final examination. So, my dear educators, this is all about evaluation, assessment, and measurement. So don't miss these daily doses and insights of innovative teaching strategies. Not only I will be sharing the videos at 4 p.m., but along with that, I am also in a process of converting all my previous videos recorded in English language, and I will be translating the same into Hindi too, so that it can reach a wider community. Do share any kind of topics that you want me to take up during these videos. I would appreciate your collaboration. Thank you, all of you. Have a nice day.